Time to sound off, Husker Nation. This is your Real Red Reaction Show on Lincoln's KFOR. Call the show now at 402-489-1240.
Welcome to it. It's Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Big Red, Justice Rhody en route. We may have a Mark Kranak sighting. We should have a Bill Doleman sighting, but no sighting of any run defense tonight for Nebraska. 37-10, thrashed by Penn State. Numbers to get in at 489-1240. 489-1240 at 800-825-5865. We are on air till, probably midnight-ish? Sound about right? And then, no? I can't do that. Or that long.
I know. I think we're on the air until 10:45.
10:45.
We can stay rolling online for as long as we'd like to.
Sure. So we will take your thoughts, take your calls. We'll hear from Matt Rule as well. Plenty of your comments in the stream and lots of frustration sounding off on stream as well with the YouTube channel. Ed Foley giving his 2 cents about Butler as an NFL defensive backs coach. That is it. Elijah, brother, this game was done after each team had their opening drives.
This game was over at the coin flip. Nebraska had nothing, no sort of answer for the Penn State offensive line and the Penn State rushing attack. We talked about it. Will there be schematic changes? What are you going to have up your sleeve on the bye week? There was nothing. It was physical manhandling in the trenches. This game was over before the ball was kicked off, because if that was your game plan going in, you were done for.
Well, that was the game plan. And, Nebraska got a bit of a break with Penn State jumping off sides on 3rd and 7. Was 3rd and 2. Emmett rips off a 52-yarder, gets caught from behind. And ding, ding, ding. If you had this on the bingo card, Nebraska opening drive is faced with a 4th and 1. Fourth and 1, short yardage. What do you do, Matt Rule? Do you take the points or do you go for it? 37 points on the board for Penn State. Listen, you had a chance to punch Penn State in the mouth on the opening drive with points or a conversion. And listen, you went for it on 4th and short. You got stoned. And, 7 plays, 98 yards later, Penn State's up 7-0 over after that. And then Penn State cranks out another, 3 80-yard plus drives as you go to halftime, down by a ton. We'll get to Rock on the phone line here in a moment. But the problem I had wasn't going for it per se. It's the same play call, the same result, trying to run the football on 4th and short. I understand you want to go for it. I understand you want to be aggressive. I understand you have a long laundry list of 4th and short failures that go back years, not just this season. So hindsight says take the points. Hindsight also says maybe get your quarterback out on the edge with a run pass option. I mean, that's hindsight. I get it. But the fact is they don't get to the line of scrimmage until there's about 8 or 7 seconds left. They were indecisive on what they wanted to do. You got to have that in your back pocket. You'd think that this scenario what do we do? What are we going to do? What's the plan on 4th and short? If we're faced with it, if Nebraska's faced with it, to open the ball game, you score there, you get any points, 3, you'll take 7. Okay, would have been ideal. Then there's that little glimmer of doubt maybe that gets planted for Penn State. Instead, what do? They stop you. They get it. They go 98 yards. And Penn State played nasty tonight. They were woofing. They were extra physical. Nebraska's got a lot of work to do in their front 7 with athleticism and just to stop getting pushed around. But it's been that story a lot of this season. How many times you see the counter play, Elijah? I mean, they just get rolled.
Yeah, and I was initially frustrated with the 4th down play call because I think I said it whenever I stopped by your house. Everyone in the entire state knew that if you handed that ball off to Emmett Johnson, he wasn't going to get there. Nebraska doesn't have a short yardage back. I love Emmett Johnson. That is not his strength. That being said, did it matter? Absolutely not. Yeah, the fan base gets more engaged. Awesome. That's why Penn State reels off a 98-yard drive. No. Penn State reels off a 98-yard drive because their offensive line is head and shoulders better than your defensive line. Their running backs are head and shoulders better than all the tacklers on your defense. It did not matter. If you go score a touchdown on that fourth down play, if you pull the right play out of your bag, it's not going to matter. Penn State was going to run down your throat all night long. They played with a chip on their shoulder. Nebraska looked lackadaisical after the bye. It was just, we can dive into any one play and be like, it didn't matter.
Out-schemed, out-coached.
Out-schemed, out-coached, and most importantly, you were out-physicaled.
Yeah.
And for a coach that has preached from day one of being at Nebraska, how physical he wants to be, how physical his practices are going to be, that was a nauseating performance to see how Penn State just whooped you in the trenches. It wasn't even competitive in the trenches.
No, and it was not, and you had no answer. You had no adjustment. And for Grunkmeyer, that dude only had to throw it 12 times. He was 11 of 12. He hit for he had a 51-yard run and a 30-yard pass on that 98-yard drive. Rock, thanks for calling into Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. Thanks for hanging on. Go ahead.
Thank you both. The game was lost on that 4th and short. I'm Joe Namath. I'm guaranteeing you call a play-action bootleg, we're up 7-0, and I think it's an entirely different game. Now, tonight was quite a tell. You have your head coach, who was rumored to take this Penn State job, a Penn State alum player, and you lay down and die. Boy, they really went out for the Gipper tonight to try and win one. There was zero manhood. This is year 3. Year 3. And you want to run the blockhead play with Johnson on 4th and short? You're not good enough. You couldn't do it in year 3. And in year 3, you're getting gashed and dashed and slashed. I watched before this game, Kansas State go into the muss and run for 472 yards. And yes, they lost, but they averaged 11 yards per carry. It sure as hell wasn't the run game that was the problem. I mean, I'm going to cut it short because I know you guys are on the radio. You got to beat Iowa. If you beat Iowa, you do get absolution and you go and sin no more. But I just don't see how you're going to do it with a physical, tough team like that. Thank you both.
Rock, appreciate you, brother. Rock, self-editing. Putting the old air brakes on before a potential FCC violation. I love it.
Justice, keep that finger over the dump button tonight. Not for the callers, but for me. You never know what might come out of my mouth.
Well, it's just
brother. I had a gym and Coke before this. I absolutely understand where you were coming from, brother. Hey, it's Real Red Reaction. It's unfiltered. It's real and it's raw, baby. That's what we're doing.
I'm gonna have to crack one of those custom Bud Lights.
The product placements
that might send you to the hospital. As warm as that's been, as long as it's been that warm.
Hey, he's got Valentinos. You know what they say.
Yeah, brought this. The roommates had this. Brought it along with Justice. If you'd like a slice, feel free.
Hey, brother,
I'm gave the free shout out. So
hey,
I
might indulge. I might indulge.
Well, more time for you. 489-1240. Pride of Fairbury may be in. Cranack may pop by as well. More comments from you. Mike and Callie is not happy. Black Hills Brennan says, listen, if the FCC hasn't shut you down after yesterday with Mark, I'd say you're good to go. We were safe for a while with the government shutdown. But
they weren't listening.
We're not safe anymore. Brian in Carolina says, remember what Rule said over the summer, our defense will be hell on wheels. Don't make me bleeping laugh. Defense is, you overcorrected. A year ago, you got torched on every 3rd down and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11 by about every quarterback you played. You were good. You were incredible against the run. You had different personnel. Personnel this year is just not ready or able to stop the run. And it's the same play over and over and over again. And it's physicality. And Rock nailed it. It was a manhood game, and Nebraska, well, didn't measure up. And it also, I want to talk about TJ Lateef for a moment. Listen, there's clearly some things that he'll want to get better at from an accuracy standpoint. I thought he played well. I thought he had some really nice throws. They're better. He's better on the move right now, throwing the football, and he made some nice plays on the move. Nice scramble for the touchdown. 10 points, obviously not enough to get it done tonight. But the difference in this thing, though, is comfort level with being able to run, lean on your run game like Penn State did. They had the lead, and they just kept swinging away, and they threw when they wanted to. Nebraska got buried early, and you couldn't go to the run as much. I know they ran it plenty, but that was just to keep that clock a-turning versus it being an effective part of your offense. So I thought Latif played okay, and he wasn't a problem tonight. Tonight's issue was 1,000% on the defense, their inability to stop the run, their inability to make some tackles. They're not as athletic, clearly, as Penn State in that front seven compared to what Penn State's offensive line was able to do from a physicality and an athleticism standpoint. And Nebraska is going to have to regroup in a short week and pull their pants up and get after it, because it's a second dose of 5 angry men on each side of the ball. 489-1240 to get in on Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens.
I'm with you on Latif. He was all right. I'm not.
He wasn't a problem.
I'm not going to sit here and think the result's going to be any different if Dylan Raiola was at quarterback, because it wasn't about the offense tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The offense wasn't great. I mean, if it's a closer football game, I wonder if they could go put some more points on the board, but you kind of have to change up your game plan whenever you're down by 30 points.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about the offense tonight. It was about the defense and stopping the run. We knew it for 2 weeks coming into this football game. The only key for your defense is stopping the run. If you sit back and at the end of the game, it was Grunkemeyer that went and beat you, you would have said, you know what? Hat tip to you, kid. Good game. Nebraska, their sole concern coming into this night defensively was stopping the run, and it was atrocious on the inside. You're up against 2 great running backs, a good offensive line, but they manhandled you in the trenches. That looked like a Big Ten team against a group of 5 team in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
It was as simple as that. We can talk about everything else. Hey, the special teams was bad. The offense was pedestrian. I mean, all right. It doesn't matter whenever the defense is allowing that on the ground. You were going to lose that football game from the jump if you could not get a handle on their rushing attack, and you never even came close.
Funky Giblets is in, man. They need better linebackers and D-line to improve dramatically on tackling. It's very, very bad. That tackling. And listen, Penn State's got some fellas. They're talented. They're Sunday dudes for a reason. But Nebraska, just at this point in the year, and quite honestly, a lot of points during the season, they just don't do the job tackling. And guys, it's a far cry from earlier in the year, and that's a different level of competition, clearly. But where you have a host of bodies around, there's always somebody in partial contact with a Nebraska defender, and if there's a defender or two, they don't get off the block to make the tackle, and there's not a gang of Nebraskans around the ball carrier. I mean, it was problematic. You saw guys that had a chance to make a stop. They don't. There's a little bit of yards per contact advantage for Penn State tonight. And, Penn State took out a season's worth of frustrations on Nebraska tonight. They said, let's go try and bury this team after that 4th down stop. A couple of drives later, Nebraska did get on the board to make it 10-3, and they did get a stop to hold them to 3, but it was just an absolute avalanche of what Penn State wanted to do and did do, running downhill down their throat. And that is the most maddening thing Nebraska fans can watch on TV for 3 hours, is someone lining up and just stuffing it down your throat, running the football. Who's with us? Justice, who do we have?
We got Keith on the line here.
All right, Keith, thanks for calling. Welcome into Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. Go ahead.
Yeah, what's up? We got 3 Husker fans here. And
Go Big Red!
Yeah, that's Tom. He's kind of loud.
Tom, it's all good.
Tom's a diehard fan. I can't lie about that.
What time? So Tom did not turn the TV off, is what you're telling me?
Yeah, turn that down, dude.
No, did he turn it off at any point?
No, Well, we'll listen to you. I just want to turn the volume down.
No, you're good. So, Keith, what do you have to say tonight, bud? Appreciate you calling us.
We're diehard fans here in the great state of Hays, Kansas. And they got their fucking, they got their ass kicked off the line on scrimmage, dude. I mean, you can see that from the TV.
Keith, appreciate it, brother. Can't have you dropping that kind of language, but it's all good. Thanks for calling. Thanks for listening, partner.
I think he speaks for a lot of Husker Nation with those
I got
comments.
it. We're good. No FCC violations.
Okay, you got it. You got it caught.
We're good.
Okay.
I think Bill Doleman might be listening to something else. I don't know. Maybe
he said he had to take a quick phone call and then he's going to hop on.
Maybe he's listening to a comedy sketch.
Something, yes. Maybe a little bit of Delirious from Eddie Murphy. I don't know. But Keith, thanks for checking in. How many deep was Keith?
Brother, that was about 7 or 8 right there. I mean, that's
a low. That's a low. If they're diehard Husker fans, that means they've been watching the last 10 years. That's a low number. I was going to set the over under at 9.5. The tolerance has got to be up through the years of watching.
Okay, so what's the higher number? The number of beers that group collectively drank, or the number of rushing attempts that Penn State had?
I think they could buy a 1987 Yugo with the money earned on aluminum donations and recycling.
Okay.
It was 231 yards on the ground tonight for Penn State. We set the number at 175. They almost crushed that number in the first half. I just can't underscore enough how far off the pace Nebraska's front seven was in order to go stop the run. And I think it was both scheme and personnel. The personnel, we've talked about all year long. They're not good at stopping the run. The scheme didn't do them any favors. I mean, I can't remember who the comment was, but they said it didn't matter if it was a 3-man or a 5-man front. They were getting pushed around. Yeah, that's true. At what point do you just leave a wide receiver open and say, hey, you know what? Just throw the football. We can't handle these.
Well, it was
leave a guy.
It was maddening because it was just a clinic of first down run, second down run, or first down big gain at 2nd and 2, 2nd and 4, play action, and then you had bad communication. You had so many wide open Penn State receivers where the safety and the linebacker didn't know where they were supposed to be, or it wasn't like you just got beat. It was drop in coverage and wide open for a monster completion off of play action. Penn State executed to a T. They were really pretty creative with some of their short game to get Grunkmeyer in rhythm, and they were ferocious with their blocking. I mean, they were just back to the physicality point, Elijah and Justice. I mean, it was a clinic by Penn State. Who's with us?
We got Bob on the line. He's been waiting for a bit here now.
All right, Bob, how we doing? Thanks for calling. Welcome into Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens.
Well, for one thing, I'm very embarrassed by Nebraska. After that first drive that was almost successful, Nebraska, in my opinion, simply just quit. I know Penn State played a good game too, but I am so very embarrassed today by their performance. It's just unbelievable. They should have been better for a 7-3 team. This game tonight was ridiculously horrible.
Bob, I don't think they quit. I think they got their butt handed to them.
I think they were up against a team that stylistically was the perfect antithesis. Everything that Penn State is good at, Nebraska is bad at, and you saw the result.
Penn State.
Well, all I know is I hope that they could have a quick turnaround, because Iowa, they beat Penn State only by a point, but they beat them 25-24.
They did. They did. And we know why Penn State's had so much drama. From a talent standpoint, their roster is loaded, and this is how they're supposed to look all season. But they brought it and did it against Nebraska. Nebraska still ways away. I mean, they played tight against, Michigan and SC, and Minnesota kind of rolled them. This was the Minnesota game going up against a much more talented squad that just lined up and smashed you.
Minnesota game, Minnesota game on steroids, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Well, Bob,
Like they were on steroids.
we'll see if Nebraska can get it fixed for Iowa.
I'm sure hoping they can. I was kind of confident about how Nebraska was going to do against Iowa, but now you couldn't pay me to make a prediction about that game on Friday.
Well, I'll make a prediction, but I don't think Husker fans.
Yeah, we're gonna wait a while before we dive in there. Bob, we appreciate you greatly, man. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the phone call. Appreciate you.
All right, thanks.
Now,
See
if we want to go conspiracy theory here, you heard a lot of it at Penn State tonight, even during the halftime broadcast. Hey, make Terry Smith the full-time head coach. Maybe Matt Rule is just thinking 4 or 5 years down the line here and was just trying to get a result where Terry Smith would be the head coach. I am kidding here, but I was going to say I can't explain this one, but I can explain this one. It's just your run defense is bad, and you're up against a team that runs the ball pretty successfully. It's the thing that they do best, and you're staring down the barrel of a gun because Iowa, the only thing that they do offensively is run the football.
I'll throw my hat in the ring here. I thought Penn State came out with an arrogance. I thought they were slapping the badge the whole time and saying, hey, we're Penn State. They're like, you're Nebraska. You haven't made a bowl game in Lord knows how long before last year. We're going to come out. We were supposed to have expectations. We love Terry Smith. We're going to kick the crap out of you because we feel like we can. And they lined 6 guys up on the line, and they said, we dare you to stop us. And Kate Tronau and Nick Singleton did whatever they wanted to. Grunkmeyer had wide receivers open for days. I mean, it just looked like they were playing against a JV team out there. Like, they came out with an arrogance, and they came out with a competent game plan and said, here's what we're going to do. They could have done the Mike Leach and just dropped the play card before the Red River game and just said, hey, here's what we're going to do. And you still wouldn't have been able to stop them. I mean, that's just what it was. They lined up, and they kicked your tail, and they decided they wanted to kick your tail some more because they wanted to send a message like, hey, we're going to be bowl eligible, and we're going to fight no matter what because we have pride in the badge. Nobody in a Nebraska uniform tonight, save Emmett Johnson and maybe a little bit of TJ Lateef, looked like they wanted to compete for Nebraska tonight. They looked like they were competing for a check. And that was about it. They looked like they were ready to cash in. And you want to talk about the defense, I think it's time we ask some questions about Rob Dvorak in that linebacker room because those guys, oh, man, that was not a pretty performance.
Listen, I'm not going to go there about Rob. I don't know that he has. Listen, you need better play from Shavers, okay? And you need
way better play from Javen.
Well, yeah, and this guy's been in school 7 years. I mean, he
like that.
Yeah, I mean, he either gets a paw on him and gets blocked, or it's a missed tackle, or it's an overrun. I mean, it's problematic. I will say this, though. No one up front is helping the linebackers. And against these kind of prove-it ball games, these prove-it teams, you're 0 against this season. No one up front's done their job to stop the run, get in the ball carrier's way before it gets to the second level. But we need to talk about the bigger picture, which is tackling. Because Nebraska, again, had problems tackling. And I know they put pads on. I know they hit. I know they try and tackle. I know they, air quote, practice it, but hadn't looked like it in a while, honestly. So it went sideways after 4th and 1. What say you? 4, 8, 9, 12, 40 to get in, or 800-825-5865 here with Real Red Reaction.
Allow me to just quickly go through the stats against a run-heavy football team. The defensive statistics here. 1 total tackle, Riley Van Poppel. 1 total tackle, Desan McCullough. 1 total tackle, Keona Davis. 1 total tackle, David Hufkin. 1 total tackle, Cade Petschok. 1 total tackle, Gabe Moore. 1 total tackle, Williams Winery. All those guys tied with Ja'Cory Barney in terms of tackles, apparently. Marquez Watson Trent, 1 tackle. Dylan Rogers, 1 tackle. Javen Wright, 2 tackles. Jacob Bauer, 2 tackles. Lynn Hart had 3. Your leading tackler among the linebacker core was Shavers with 7. Overall, leading tackler was Deshaun Singleton with 10.
How many of those guys are you paying big money? That's the real question. You're paying to get that kind of effort. I mean, that's not acceptable. Like, we're talking about people who are playing for the University of Nebraska, a 5-time national champion. I don't care what's happened in the last 10 years. That's a national champion. That's a national brand. What happened to pride? Yeah, okay, at some point, somebody's got to buckle down and say, you know what? More than one guy on that defense got to say, you know what? I'm not okay with getting embarrassed. I'll get injured playing my tail off before I go out and let somebody run by me. They just did whatever they wanted. What happened to pride? What happened to Karen and playing for university? These guys are playing for a check right now, and I'm not okay with it personally.
At some point with this leadership, it's got to fall on those guys that have been part of the program for a while, and they had no answer. Now, part of that, to me, is you got to get them in position to be successful, and lining up even with a fourth down lineman wasn't enough tonight. You needed the fifth down lineman. You needed something different. Maybe I'm nuts here, but
you needed a seventh down lineman or an eighth.
you needed to physically force them to throw the football. Instead, all right, it wasn't a three-man front that much tonight, but it still didn't matter. You had to have some sort of adjustment. Give me a bear defense. Give me something different than what you've been doing, or even with an extra defensive lineman. Because your personnel is not equipped to line up and just stop the run. So you've got to improvise, and you had 2 weeks to get ready for it, and you did nothing. You got rocked. You got absolutely rocked. And again, I go back to coaching decisions, and I go back to game management. We've talked about it. And while you didn't have the funky timeout being burnt, you did have that 4th and 1, which flipped everything. You get that, you get the touchdown, you're up 7-0. Game's different, I believe. You're in it possibly longer. You didn't turn the football over with a freshman quarterback on the road. He made some dynamite throws, and some of his longer completions were on 3rd down and long when you rolled him. But you just didn't give yourself a chance on offense to lead on the run game and hit some play action. We'll see where Latif goes when it comes to some of the intermediate accuracy. You had no targets for Lindenmeyer, which I don't get. You just were beat up and annihilated early on. They didn't quit fighting on offense. They were a little better defensively in the second half, but you still gave up a couple scores. It didn't matter by then. After that initial touchdown drive in the third quarter, that was ball game. That was nail in coffin. 489-1240 to get in here on Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. 800-825-5865. We'll take a timeout. We'll hear from Matt Rule. We'll check in with the Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman, as we continue on. Don't forget, 3 Slim Chickens locations for you. 14th and Pine Lake, 84th Old Shady. Soon to be in Elijah's backyard, 84th and Adams, with Slim Chickens. A timeout, more Real Red Reaction as we power forward.
Make hauling easy with the MWC Park Can Easy Dump. This satellite dumper goes where big garbage trucks can't and can haul everything from trash to yard waste to recycling. The fully automatic Easy Dump fits in the back of a standard pickup truck, so there's no need for a CDL license. Perfect for alleys, gated communities, condos, parks, anywhere. Come see the Easy Dump yourself at MWC Can in Lincoln, or go to MWC-can.com today.
Hear that? It's holiday cheer arriving at Ulta Beauty with gifts for everyone on your list. Treat them to fan favorite gift sets from Charlotte Tilbury and Peach and Lily. Go all out with timeless fragrances from YSL, Ariana Grande, and Carolina Herrera. And you can never go wrong with an Ulta Beauty gift card. Head to Ulta Beauty for gifts that make the holidays brighter and even more beautiful. Ulta Beauty. Gifting happens here.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
You've got your very own handyman to help remodel your home.
We started and did our first bathroom in the home we're living in right now in 1992. Everything for that bathroom was purchased at Handyman, and it's still going strong, which is a good testimony to their products. There was 5 of us in that house. There's a lot of wear and tear when you got kids.
If you're updating your bathroom, don't forget the finishing touches. Handyman has a great selection of accessories, towel bars, robe hooks, and more, all on sale in November.
Brighten things up with a stylish light bar or a mirror to complete your new look. Stop by Handyman and see how easy it is to pull your whole bathroom together.
They carry products that are very dependable, that have a good reputation. Their prices are very on track, and the quality that you get, that is priceless.
Handyman Home Remodeling Center, under the arch on Sun Valley Boulevard, Lincoln.
Handyman.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
This is the Real Red Reaction Show. Phones are open now. 402-489-1240.
Back with you here on Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Justice Rhody, 489-1240. Your reaction: Nebraska pounded 37-10 by Penn State. Uncle Larry says, I was expecting better. I was way off, man. Got to take my loss here. I said Nebraska 28-21. Didn't even sniff that. I thought they'd, play better. I thought they would get punched in the run game. I thought the offense would be able to put some drives and some points together, but they got buried too quickly. Defense flat out annihilated. In the stream chat, I believe it was said well by Fear the Farm, says Wisconsin flashback. It's what it kind of felt like with Penn State just lining up and hammering away. Nebraska's, it's going to get ugly against Iowa, man. It could with what their quarterback isn't, and that is a competent passer. They may not need to.
And you asked Schmidt to lead off this segment. What is your reaction? Penn State 37, Nebraska 10. My reaction: the Husker volleyball team back to back Big Ten champions. Husker basketball team got a big win last night. And I say that as a tongue-in-cheek way to say what I saw tonight means bad things for Black Friday. The basketball team's rolling, in Husker volleyball, they're all set for a national championship type run. So that's how I'm going to spin this to look on the bright side, because I don't see a horrible run defense that's been terrible for 11 games getting better on a short week against Iowa.
Well, and Broadmaster says belt to ass. That's exactly what happened tonight to Nebraska. Let's go to the phones. As who's with us, Justice, to start off?
Oh, we got Sam in Lincoln wants to ask a question about the athletic director.
Sure. Sam, thanks for calling. Go for it.
Hey, guys. You guys are the best. It's actually Shane in Lincoln.
Shane. Thank you, Shane.
My bad.
Yeah. Thanks. About the AD. Do you guys think it'll be the middle of 2027 or 2028 when he has to pay this bum off? Thank you all. Hang up and listen.
Sam, thank you. I think this buyout is so extraordinary that there is no paying it off. I think you're here, and I think Matt Rule will attempt to fix. He'll keep building. He'll get better. Are they ever going to be vying for a Big Ten championship? I don't know. Are they going to get to a playoff? I don't know. I mean, they're 7-4 right now. Who's with us?
Oh, we got Tad in California.
Tad in Cali. Tad, talk to me, bud. How we doing?
Good, guys.
just wanted to say that we are off by a year, and it's nothing to look bad on. We got our butts handed to us. They went out there to play football. You could tell Penn State wanted this, and they were really hitting us.
Yeah.
And we just got to build ourselves, because this is exactly the football team I want Nebraska to be. Pound the football, utilize the quarterback. And we are young, but we are definitely got to do the recruiting on that defensive line. But guys, things aren't looking bad. Let's just get our butts back. Let's get our stuff back to home, and let's beat Iowa. That's all we got. That's our bowl game right there, even though we got one coming. But thanks a lot, guys.
Ed, appreciate it. No, I the fear for this game tonight, fellas, was Penn State looking like number 3 Penn State. They did that. And they're way more talented than Nebraska. You can't argue that. And it's not an excuse. It's the reality. Penn State's this is the team they were supposed to be. And they unloaded on Nebraska. Nebraska's not there yet. They've got a couple pieces here and there, but not a full roster. Who do we have, Justice?
Oh, we got Matt from Iowa on the line.
Okay. Matt is with us. Matt, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey guys, I flipped over to the game after the Husker volleyball team won the Big Ten title.
Good choice on your part.
Yeah, well, they have a good coach. I don't know what to say anymore. I've called a couple times. I live 35 miles south of Iowa City, guys.
Yeah.
That Iowa team looked terrible today. Their defense played pretty well, and Michigan State was stupid for kicking to Legion.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
But that offense is. If I'm Tim Lester, I don't call a single pass play next week.
Barry Switzer tribute.
I hand it off, or I use my large quarterback who's built like a linebacker as a second running back, and I run the ball 50 times. And Nebraska will lose.
Yep.
Because that's what Nebraska does when teams run the ball. I don't get it. I had to shut it off in the fourth quarter. I couldn't stomach just the poor play at the line of attack. The offensive line was, the play calling and we should have had at least 3 points in that first drive. I don't know, guys. I don't know what to say anymore. Mm-hmm. It's to the point where the play calling wasn't that great. The defensive play calling wasn't that great. They were out of place. They couldn't stop the run at all. I'm surprised that I think Penn State took their foot off the gas, frankly, in the second half, because it probably should have been closer to like
50-3.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of that Wisconsin Big Ten title game where Nebraska just got ran out of the house. Mm-hmm. But there's not one part, and I'm going to say it right now, I don't see any improvement from last year to this year, because this year's schedule was so much easier. This year's schedule is so much easier. Next year, I'm saying 4-8, guys. 4-8, 5-7 at best next year.
That can happen in year 4. I know their schedule's murder next year, but you need to.
That's the thing, though.
But get better. Go get some dudes. Go get some dudes and go get the right dudes. That's the question. Can they find the right guys? Go ahead now.
You got to be able to coach them up after you get the dudes, because I think this team has some, especially on the skill players. They have the skill players. From what my eyes tell me, they have the skill players to compete with anybody in the conference, but they haven't coached up you should be able to take decent FCS players, and in a year at Nebraska, turn them into maulers as a developmental program. And I'm seeing guys that are fairly highly recruited offensive linemen and defensive linemen just not know how to play. And that's the problem.
Well, you've got one homegrown offensive lineman that's healthy right now that's playing, and that's Evans. Period.
He's the best one of the bunch. And if it's just and he's small comparatively.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I don't know where to go. All I know is that the guys up here in Iowa City, it's the worst fan base in the Big Ten. They're just miserable people to be around, but they're going to gloat next week because Iowa is going to beat this Husker team unless a completely different team shows up next week. So just based on the defense that Iowa plays, how fast Iowa's defense plays, they don't need a good offense to beat this Husker team. I don't,
just a run game and special.
Unless we have yeah. So,
thank you for the phone call.
I always said, yeah.
All right. Just disgruntled, and I get it. Just frustrated. Proud of Fairbury here is to make everyone feel better. Bill Doleman, the professor, at Bill Doleman on Twitter. Bill, what'd you see? Shocked or more awe about 4th and 1 not going that way?
What are you guys talking about?
Does the 4th and 1 call even matter? Does it?
Yes, absolutely.
At the beginning of the game?
Yes, because you get points or you get the conversion, but you don't have indecision. Okay.
Awesome. You lose 37-17 instead of 37-10.
But you go score. You take the lead, and then you flip it around and you put it on Penn State.
I don't think that was magically going to make your run defense anywhere close to even average. They got their asses kicked all night long. Sure, you can talk about the Penn State, and you can talk about Penn State
at least you're ahead.
You can talk about Penn State not getting that feeling.
Oh my God, what do we do? It's 4th and 1. Let's call a dive play the world knows coming and not get it again. 3 years they've been calling that play, and they've been getting stuffed in key moments of a ball game to get control.
Guys,
goes the other way, and 98 yards later, you're down 7-0, and there's actually a heartbeat, a pulse, and some smelling salt Penn State sniffing on.
Can I just please point out that tomorrow at 10:30 on the Average Joe Sports Show Sunday edition, we'll have Sam Hoiberg on the show live talking about Nebraska's win over Kansas State and the undefeated Nebraska men's basketball team that has the longest winning streak in the country. That's what I would like to talk about tonight. Okay.
I agree, Bill.
So there,
I agree.
10 o'clock, 10:30-ish. Sam Hoiberg joins the Average Joe Sports Show live. So, okay. It reminded me in many ways of last year's Indiana game. You had a chance at the beginning to put some points on the board, but you had zero confidence in your kicker, and then you ended up getting your ass kickered, right? Same thing tonight. Had a chance to put some points on the board, and 56-7, 37-10, kind of all the same to me. It was as disappointing a performance as last year's Indiana game. You're completely defeated in all aspects of the game. You were overmatched. Same thing as Indiana last year. But Nebraska, look, you got how I've marveled for years now. How does Nebraska not put points on the board inside the 10, inside the 5? Since Jacques Yant tripped at the 1 at Minnesota.
Electric fence.
Nebraska has not been able to consistently score when the ball gets inside the 10-yard line. And to have the ball, 4th and goal. But how does Nebraska football not have an offensive line that can't move a defensive line a yard or two? And it's been a problem all season long, and I've been saying it since Michigan. Offensive lines move Nebraska's defensive line 2 to 3 yards, 4 yards before the first initial contact. It happened again tonight where Penn State's offensive line surges 3 yards, 4 yards down the field. Then there's contact, and then they get another 4 or 5 yards. Nebraska doesn't do that to anybody.
Hasn't.
Right. The point of contact is the line of scrimmage, and you fight to get a yard or two. Now, if TJ is supposed to be a better runner, and I think he is at the quarterback position, why wasn't that utilized on fourth down? Do something a little bit different and utilize his athletic ability, and let's set the tone, and let's set up a play for him to get a yard or whatever. But I think in that situation, you got to get points on the board. Just get some points. Now, is that going to change the other 55 minutes of the game? Probably not. But when they went 98 yards in 4.5 minutes after that, you knew what you were in for the rest of the night. It was not going to change. And I don't put this on TJ Lateef was not who we thought he was. Penn State is just better. They played like the team now that, okay, this is not the national championship contender at the beginning of the season, but they showed tonight, much like last week to a certain extent against Michigan State, that they are very good athletic. They are more talented athletically. They have better players, more of them. They have more better players. And once they got some momentum, they were never down. They knew they weren't going to lose the game. After that stop on fourth down and the 98 yards, they knew they were going to win. No doubt about it. They knew they were going to win. So they're talented, they're confident. And I said on the pregame show, Vegas knows something. Vegas always knows something. I don't think they realized how much they knew 27 points later, but Vegas knows something.
Well, to be fair, I think we also knew what Vegas knew. We just underplayed it. What Vegas knew was that Nebraska is terrible at stopping the run, and Penn State was going to run the football all over Nebraska. That's what Vegas knew.
Well, Shaggy knew that. We talked about that on the pregame show. My dog knew that Nebraska can't stop the run. You know, it would be more valuable.
It's low-hanging fruit, Bill.
I know, but look, it would be more valuable for Nebraska to spend $3 million on a defensive line than on a quarterback.
Well, if you're going to spend $3 million on a defensive line, why not spend another $3 million on an offensive line?
Well, no, I agree with that too. I mean, that goes without saying. But there would be more bang for the buck for $3 million on 3 guys or 5 guys along the defensive line that are Hutmaker-ish, Robinson-ish, old Van Poppel-ish, than to spend $3 million on one guy that was not going to be the difference maker in today's game. There's nothing's going to convince me that the quarterback position, and nobody's arguing this, by the way, but me right now, but nobody's going to convince me that the quarterback position, anybody would have made a difference other than Tommy Frazier. But anyway, so invest where you need players that are going to make a big, big difference in the game.
We're going to get to Stacy in a moment. Elijah, you're not wrong with what Penn State did and how it was going to go. I just think you jump out to any lead and maybe it puts a little bit of pressure on Penn State to respond, and maybe they don't cave in your front door, drop the nuke on you as soon. Maybe you're in the thing a little longer. Maybe
I think based on the run defense that you had, the result tonight was inevitable from the jump.
And at 7 yards a carry after the first quarter, you're probably not that far off.
Maybe putting 3 points on the board would have delayed the inevitable. It would have given you a stay of execution for another hour, but it wasn't going to change the results of the game tonight. So I don't want to harp on it. Was I expecting to pick it up when the offense stayed on the field out there? No, I was not expecting to get a touchdown.
Not with that play call. No.
Maybe there's also that sideline that knew we know how well Penn State runs the football. If we are getting 3 instead of 7, we're cooked out here.
Oh, and the aggressive play is not the wrong mentality. It's the execution and the play call that you haven't got for 3 years. Stacy's with us here.
We got
on Real Red Reaction. Steve first, then Stacy. Steve, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Justice. Thank you, Elijah. Thank you, Bill. Telling it like it is. Your radio show indeed is ranked number 1. However, I'm going to bring the tough question to all 4 of you. Here it comes, Chris. Are you guys ready?
Yep,
I guess
Here it is.
just give it to us.
All right, here it is. If our defense cannot get things figured out, say in 6 months, year, whatever, whatnot, to get in line, defense that's going to stop all of this wide open running, is it time to consider? Yes. Is it time to consider to bring back the man who brought motivation, energy, and, no slacking off, defensive coordinator, Bo Pelini. What say you guys?
I knew you were going there. It'd be a great hire. Would he ever come back to Nebraska?
Absolutely
not.
You would need to have some sort of photo dossier, blackmail, hostage situation. He'll never step foot in Nebraska again. Period. Steve, thanks for the phone call, Big Cat.
Oh,
it wouldn't hurt.
Stacy, if you still have to listen, give us a call back.
Yep.
Yeah. Stacy, 489-1240 to get in. 800-825-5865. Trying to get through all of your comments here.
Should we give Rules Presser a listen? It's 6 minutes. We might.
We have another call coming in, so let's give it
okay, we'll take a quick call. Phil says they better spend all that money on linemen, and they better get some folks to coach the linemen up.
That's the bigger place I'm looking right now. It's not like Nebraska is devoid of talent, at least from a recruiting sense. Elijah Judy was a borderline 5-star, finished as a 4, but he was right there. Van Poppel is a solid 4-star. You have Winery, who's a 5-star. Gabe Moore, who was a 3-star, but I think has outplayed that early in his career. Like, there's talented guys on that.
Pet Shock's a psycho in a good way.
Shock is a guy that Wisconsin and Oklahoma and some great defenses wanted, and he picks Nebraska over them. Like, there are guys out there that were wanted by other schools. Do they have the right coaching right now? I know they're all young and they're getting their feet wet, but do you have the right coaching in place to get these guys the kind of development that they need?
Can they reach their ceiling?
Did they look any better than they did game 1?
Pet Shock has played better
as a unit. Does that defensive
line as a unit? No,
the
the defensive line has absolutely regressed this year with more athleticism.
I mean, we saw the story in game 1. Cincinnati ran it all over you. You needed that defensive line to get better. That defensive line has not gotten better through 11 games, through 3 months. They're the same unit.
Because your sweet spot with this coordinator is killer against the pass, i.e. the NFL pedigree and background. When it comes to stopping the run, that was Tony White's jam. And you traded one for the other.
Tony White had the benefit of Nash Hutmaker and Ty Robinson,
5th and 6th year guys,
being in the hand that he was dealt. So I'm not saying that Tony White was not a very good coach, but look at Florida State. They're not any better anywhere on their football team
with a lot of dudes.
So Tony White's defense had 2 really good defensive tackles. Are they two of the best in Nebraska history? Robinson, I would put up there with some of the best that I ever saw play at Nebraska. Hutmaker could not have been a better complementary number 2 starter right alongside him. So Nebraska's defense was benefited. And I said, go back to Rules first year when Ty Robinson said, I'm coming back. That's one of the biggest decisions in recent Nebraska football history, that he came back to get Nebraska to a bowl game. So people will appreciate Ty Robinson more and more and more as the years go on. But Tony White's defense benefited from 2 very good cards that were dealt in his hand.
Because Tony White's defense doesn't look great this year at Florida State. To me, this isn't a Tony White and a John Butler discussion. No. The discussion is bringing it in is in the Big Ten. In the Big Ten, you brought in a defensive line coach that has never been the defensive line coach anywhere. He's been an assistant defensive line coach. He has never been the defensive line coach. You brought in a guy that does not have experience leading a room to come be a defensive line coach in the Big Ten of all conferences. That's what I'm looking at.
Who's with us, Justice?
Oh, we got Blake and Lincoln on the line.
Blake, thanks for hanging tight. Appreciate your patience. Welcome into Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens.
Well, guys, I think what's kind of frustrating is that these issues came late in the year. I mean, we're the second last to regular season game, and we weren't well equipped on defense. I think that's a big frustration. And I just wonder, does John Butler need the time? I mean, shoot, this is his first year with Nebraska, and I hate to say that. You know, everyone says these coaches sometimes need time, sometimes they don't. But at the same time, this is his first year coming in here. Does he need time? You know, us Husker fans, we don't want that time. But does he need time to build this defense and just kind of the lack of preparation, you know, for this game too? I think that's a frustration, especially late in the season.
Well, thanks, Blake, for your thoughts.
If he needs to build anything, I think it's, if you want to run a 3-3-5, you have to have the personnel to play a 3-3-5. And I don't see that out there
that
for
means
Nebraska.
Get a big cog in the middle and get 2 defensive ends who can wreck shop against tackles.
Yes.
I mean, you need somebody who can absolutely command a double team on every possession. Then you need linebackers who can fly.
There's the last part of it.
You need linebackers who can fly.
Okay.
And
you need a 340-pound monster in the middle that can command double teams.
Dante Corleone.
Yeah, you need some athletic defensive ends, a pass rusher that can scream off of the edge, and then you nailed the last part. You need linebackers that can fly sideline to sideline and beat the running back to the edge. Nebraska has none of those things. Except maybe Deshaun McCullough being a guy off the edge. That's maybe the only thing they have.
Do Jacob Bauer and Javen Wright strike you as sideline to sideline guys in a real thing? Like Dawson Merritt's kind of getting there, but he's young. Like Shavers, like he looks a step slow this year. I don't know what the deal is with him. They maybe have like one guy who can play like that. You need a whole squad of like 5 or 6.
I said it preseason. I didn't think Nebraska's personnel on defense this year fit a 3-3-5. I thought you might see a schematic and style change. You didn't, and you're reaping the benefits of that. And I say benefits tongue in cheek.
And is that do we know though? Do we know if John Butler was last defensive coordinator at Penn State a decade ago,
2013?
Do we know what his true defensive philosophy is? We knew when Tony White got here that he was a 3-3-5 Rocky Long disciple from the UCLA, New Mexico, days and all that stuff. So White came in here with the philosophy that this is what they were going to run, and people had all kinds of, months to dissect what it is. Do we really know what Butler's defensive philosophy, core defensive scheme is that he wants to run? I've never heard say he's another 3-3-5 guy. I mean, he's coached in the NFL. I don't know anybody in the NFL that runs a 3-3-5. Is he a 4-3? Would he like to, go with some type of hybrid 5-2, 3-4, whatever? I don't know that Nebraska has the personnel for whatever John Butler's identity is as a defensive coordinator. And to that end, I don't even know what his identity is to know what kind of players he wants to have in a defense that he wants to run. So I think you've got a coach in a position that is new or he hasn't had for a decade or more. And you've got players who were recruited to a certain style under a different guy. And I don't think the puzzle pieces fit. And I'm not, so like Blake is saying, does he need time for Butler to say, next year we're going 3-4, we're going 4-3, or whatever we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. And in the portal, these are the guys we're going for. We all know it doesn't matter what defense you're going to run. You need some big boys up front that don't get moved. You need at least 2 of those.
You need some anchors.
Right. You got to have 2 of them. You're talking about one with some edge rushers. Well, that's if you're running the 3-man front. But you got to, in the Big Ten, big boy football, you got to have 2 guys that don't leave the training table ever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's all they do. You come in and you eat, and then you go line up here 35 plays a game. And every now and then we're going to line you up side by side. But that's what you got to have in the Big Ten, whether it's 3-3-5 or 4-3. You need 2 of those guys to be your anchors, right? And then let Butler say, this is what I want to do with Nebraska's defense. And you're at the portal, so you can immediately, bring in players that you want, and you can get into spring ball and immediately start implementing it because players have played a couple of years of college already. And Nebraska is going to have a lot of new players on its roster next year in the transfer portal. So I'm willing, Blake, to give Butler a little time, but in the transfer portal era, the clock's ticking and it strikes midnight next August.
I think that's fair, but it's also like I kind of look at it and I go, listen, John Butler's a brainy guy, like obviously a smart dude. He's a guy who wants to show off his secondary and how good his secondary is, like those guys that he's developed in his time with the program. Never once in a press conference has John Butler hung his nuts out and said, hey, we're a 3-3-5 and this is what we're going to be.
Thank
We're
God.
we are, we're not dominant physical. He talks about dominant physical contact, and he talks about flying to the football with pace and aggression. Like he'll use a bunch of wordy and brainy terms, and he won't say, "Hey, we're a 3-3-5, and we're going to specialize in stopping this." Like he's not going to come out like he hasn't come out and directly said that, or he hasn't even alluded to it. He's just like, "Oh, well, this guy's look good, or this looks good, or it's kind of an open thing that we can't stop the run." It's like, well, we know that. And what are you doing to stop it? Like, how are you setting your scheme up? What is your scheme? And how do you plan on taking this away? He's not giving answers to anything right now. And that's the confusing part. And that's the most frustrating part is we seem to have more questions than answers as the season goes along, which is exactly the opposite of what you want to have with a good football team and a football team in year 3 under Matt Rule that's supposed to be making progress, not getting blown out by Penn State and Minnesota.
Well, Penn State, it's apples and oranges from a talent level standpoint. No adjustment made to try and out scheme or outflank. I mean, Penn State's offensive coordinator was nails. He was repped and he was prepped, and they went where they wanted to go. They hit the edges on Nebraska with the short passing game. They ran the counter like everyone else has this season against Nebraska. Nebraska's made no adjustment. Can't do it, won't do it, right? Either they can't do it, i.e. Running and getting a 4th and 1 conversion, or knowing that counter's coming, and here's the answer to it. It comes down to physical ability. Won't do it, can't do it. Maybe they can't stop it. So if you can't stop something, what's your alternative? To keep taking it? Or do you make some sort of adjustment? Let's hear from Matt Rule. More time for you as well. Phone call wise, 489-1240 to get in on Real Red Reaction. Powered by Slim Chickens. Bill Doleman with us, Elijah Herbel, Justice Rhody, Chris Schmidt. Here is Matt Rule.
Come on. Obviously, that was a tough night. Credit to them. They were ready to play. They were unbelievably motivated. They played really well. I thought, I challenged the guys at halftime. A bad run there of plays in the first half. Obviously, we just never played well enough on defense to stop the run. Second half, obviously we got to stop. Went down, scored. The punt fake. Credit to them. But just a disappointing day. We don't have a lot of time to worry about it, think about it. We got a big game on Friday, so we take this L. I put it on me as the head coach. Credit to them, and we have to move forward fast. I'll answer your questions. I think that's a big picture question. I don't have probably enough time. I mean, that's not good enough. But I think it's going to be just probably passe. This is for me to say like, oh, it's just one thing. Like, they got the ball in the perimeter a bunch. We missed some tackles. We were in spots. So you can't give up Steve's 37 points. In this league, you can't give up however many yards rushing. I'll probably I'll try to do a great job at the end of the year talking to you guys more big picture. Right now, it's just that was disappointing, obviously.
Coach, how was that early on? 2 red zone
Yeah, so the question was 2 red zone points, 3 trips. That was disappointing. We had 2 shots, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. We came to win. We were going to go for it. We thought we had good plays. I looked like we controlled the line of scrimmage early. I was fired up about it. I thought we look at the end of the day. We had 300 yards of offense, which isn't great, but we also weren't getting off the field great. Like at one point, we had 15 first downs. We had 13 first downs. So it wasn't like we couldn't do anything offensively. We just didn't come away with a lot of points. And then when you're down that much, you're having to go for it as opposed to take points here and there. So that was a great plan early, but obviously it didn't come away with points. Sam, I'm sorry. I think they caught us. Guys, I'm sorry, guys. I can't hear a thing. Sorry. Just make sure I can answer your questions. Be respectful. I think, honestly, Sam, this is one of the hardest things. There's a bell going off. We were having to commit guys to the run of big pressures, and they caught us in some zones. They caught us in a scramble. It wasn't like they were lining up and dropping back and, dialing us apart. It wasn't like they were beating us in man. And I'm not saying any credit to them. But, John was bringing pressure, and they were just, they were picking up some of the pressures. We had him covered one time. Deshaun comes with it, gets the big sack. So we had a moment or two. But I think it's more a function of they controlled the line of scrimmage. And the one big pass was they threw the ball out on a perimeter screen. 2 guys got blocked. Both those backs were really outstanding players. They've been All-American candidates since they were freshmen. Obviously, they put it all together today. We had to tackle and get off blocks better. We did not.
What is the challenge of just throwing this game away now and moving on to Iowa?
Well, I think the biggest thing is if you watch that game, I mean, your freshman quarterback's out there. I mean, as I said to them at halftime, it's 3rd and 19 on the 1 yard line, 2 yard line. And I said, drop back and let it rip. An O-line that's taken a lot of heat this year, and deservedly so for sacks, pass protected some of the best pass rushers in the country. So in the midst of something like this, which I can promise you just for me, honestly, obviously coming home, this is about as miserable as it gets. They battled and fought and didn't quit. And the coaches didn't quit, And so that was awful to go through. Credit to them. But no one started pointing fingers. No one was yelling. No one was throwing helmets. There was none of that stuff. And so, TJ ran around, battled to the end. Ja'Cory's out there trying to return punts at the end. I was not proud of the result, but I was proud of that. So we'll come back. We'll eat this one. We'll sit there and deal with it. I told them when we get on the plane, we're on to next week. We got no time to worry about what just happened, as bad as it was. Yeah, so Kenneth started feeling tight hamstring on Wednesday. I think he was on the questionable list today. We brought him. He warmed up. He thought he could go, and then just it was a cold night. He said he could go, but Eck just said, you know what? I think Ja'Cory can. Ja'Cory gives us a better chance because I don't know that Kenneth is 100%. So just really, actually, like I think it was Wednesday. Yeah, just kind of like hey, I got tight and just hasn't been able to get going yet. Ja'Cory did a great job, I thought, in the return game. Obviously disappointed we gave up the giveaway on the fake punt.
Goes over 100 again. I like tonight. That's one of the positives that I think you can hang your head on. They were able to get 100 on this one.
Yeah, I thought Emmett played well. He battled. I think one of the biggest things were we weren't getting the runs that normally we'd be getting like 5 or 6 the last couple of weeks. It was more 2 or 3. On the flip side, we were able to drop back and make some plays. Guys were getting open. Quarterback was able, TJ was able to run around there. Sometimes probably in the first half we were like, hey, take off. And I thought he kind of adjusted to that. But Emmett's a warrior. He battles. He fights. I just can't say enough about him. He's had a great year, and that's why I said, and I'll probably get laughed at for it. But even in the midst of like that score, like I'm watching Pritchett out there play. I'm watching Turner. I'm watching us handle the pass rush that they have, and I'm watching us protect it. I'm watching guys, scrap and fight. But yeah, Emmett continues to do it. And he'll have to do it on Friday.
What do you think of the job Terry's done?
I think Terry, when you're the interim head coach, people have a tendency to rally around you. I think they certainly have rallied around him. He's a Penn Stater. He's a lifer. I'm proud of him. I gave him his first job. I think he's done a really nice job out there. I'm sure Penn State's a great place. They have a fantastic talent, and they played really well tonight.
Which big TJ Lateef learned in this game? What do you think he did well?
I think TJ. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, TJ, I don't think had a bad play of the night. Even on this, we called the kind of the rollout play, and it ended up being a sack on the one. If you remember 2 games ago, Sam, against USC, twice he ran, and twice they knocked the ball out, and fumble went out of bounds. Kid hasn't really been hit in a long time. Got out there, even on a play like that, he gets down. I think he moved the ball. He got us on the right checks. He handled the pressure. He handled the crowd noise. We had to go on silent the whole night. I thought TJ did a lot of good things. There's probably some throws at the end of the game. He'd love to get back, but he battled. He fought. He tried to run guys over and all that. I would prefer that he didn't always do that. But I think it sent a message to our team that he was going to fight for us, and that Emmett was going to fight for us, and that Sierra was going to fight to the end. And so, he'll have to be ready for obviously a great Iowa defense, a different type of defense, but a great Iowa defense. And it's a short week. It's going to be a real challenge for all of us, and we're ready for it.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Schmidt. I have you muted. Reset now.
Nope. Thank you much. Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel. Bill Doleman, Pride of Fairbury, Justice Rhody. Stacy's on the line. Stacy, thanks for hanging through the press conference. Floor is yours. Go for it.
Well, I have a couple of comments. I was disappointed because they lost. However, I just hope that none of the football players and none of the coaches and the assistants listen to this program. The last caller was about the only one that had anything decent to say about our players and how hard they worked. And every game has one team that is going to be better than the other one. That's always going to happen. And our team played as hard as they could. They did their best. And I don't understand why all of the callers that run everything down, if our team is as bad as they are saying when they call in and make their comments, why do they bother to listen to the game even?
Well, Stacy, thank you.
I'm proud of our team. I'm proud of how hard they work. I know a couple of the football players. I know how hard they work and how disappointed and heartbroken they are when they lose. And I just hope they don't listen to this program and hear everybody running them down. That's all I have to say.
Stacy, thank you for listening and sharing your thoughts. Appreciate your phone call.
I also hope they don't listen to the show because they better be watching film after that performance.
Jeez.
All right. Well, we know Elijah's thoughts.
Are we harsh on this team? Absolutely. The rebuttal I have to that is that this team and all the players on it, especially the guys that are playing significant snaps, are making plenty of money for what they're doing. And there's a lot of fans, a lot of donors out there that give a lot of money to this football program in order for them to go win football games. That's my rebuttal to that. Yes, players and teams are prone to a bad night, but with the millions of dollars that are flowing into these players' pockets, you expect them to at least put up a fight against a 4-6 football team.
Play better.
I don't think Penn State is a typical 4-6 football team at this point. They've had time to adjust to where they are. They have, look, records aside, if you were to put team A, team B, and do the blind thing, they have better talent, better athletes. I shouldn't say that. They have more talented and more better athletes at this point than Nebraska.
Well,
their roster is better stocked than Nebraska's. But I was trying to think as I was coming back to do the show, and then I got sidetracked by a phone call. Which was worse, the Minnesota game or this one? I think the Minnesota game was worse because that just seemed like there was zero want-to effort. That's the most disheartening thing. Nebraska got beat by a much better group of athletes today.
They also got out coached, and that's the frustrating part for a lot of Nebraska fans. Sure, but there wasn't any adjustment, and maybe you throw your hands up and you knew two weeks ago that you were screwed tonight. I don't know.
Well, I think the biggest disappointment to me is that we didn't see this performance coming. We should have seen this performance
like
coming.
Minnesota,
because you were up against a team that offensively takes advantage of your weak points defensively. You can't stop the run. Penn State, the thing that they do best offensively is run the football with Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. We as media members need to be better because we should have seen this one coming, and we didn't.
And defensively, they play with their hair on fire. I mean, Denai Dennis Sutton and Zane Durant look like they wanted to be
And
there.
I do want to get back to something that Matt Rule said in that press conference. He thought the team played hard. If that was the team playing hard,
I'd love to see them not playing hard.
Yeah, I saw a lot of Penn State guys playing balls to the wall, leaving it all out there. Hey, awesome. Nebraska's playing hard, and they're down 37-10. That was not a team playing hard, I don't think.
I don't know. I
think they just got manhandled.
They played hard against a better team, better players, and sometimes that makes it look like they're not. I think the effort was better, but this is such a relative thing. I think the effort was better today than it was against Minnesota. That was atrocious that night.
That's fair.
Tonight, you just got beat by a team that I don't want to say this is like back in the day when we used to play Miami and it was just or Florida State in the Orange Bowl on January 1, and it was just a totally different teams. But Penn State just has more better athletes than Nebraska does right now, and they got manhandled by them tonight.
What was the worst manhandling to you guys? Year one, Matt Rule, that 2023 Michigan team, or this manhandling by Penn State? Because to me, it was pretty similar. Those guys both got blown off the line of scrimmage.
And quite frankly, similar teams.
Yeah.
One team that went to a playoff and another team that was supposed to go to a playoff.
Oh, this manhandling was worse for multiple reasons. hey, I know they're a better record or better team talent-wise than their 4-6 record would indicate. They're still 4-6, and you're also in year 3 of a build, not year 1 of a build.
That's
worse.
the difference.
Minnesota was worse than this one. Both Minnesota and Penn State are a lot worse than year 1 against Michigan. Hey, congrats. Playoff team. Fantastic Michigan football team. One of the best teams we've seen running the football in the last 20 seasons. They did that to about everybody, and Nebraska was not even close to being physically ready to stand up for that. In year 3, was Nebraska physically ready to stand up to Penn State tonight? No. Should they be?
Yes.
Yes.
That's a great point.
Or at least be ready. Have something for it, right? Like if you have to throw it and they throw it behind your ear and they go beat you in man coverage, you got it.
Yeah.
We're going to try to take away your strength. They put 3 guys in the box and said, hey, like you can just run it here on 2nd and 6 if you want to. I'm like it's just mind-boggling to me. There was a toss play to Katron Allen where he didn't get touched until he was 7 yards past the line of scrimmage. And I'm like, oh my goodness, guys. Like, I don't question the effort, but I do question the execution. The execution really wasn't there.
Well, and it comes down to what you're asking them to do. Are they able to do what you want to do? You get into that part of the conversation as well.
One thing we haven't discussed, you guys, this was the performance off of a bye week.
Oh, yeah. They had 2 weeks for this. They were and Penn State's coming off of beating Michigan State, who, credit to Michigan State, they turned around and played a tough game against Iowa, even though they lost. But I mean, they didn't have an extra week to prepare.
Yeah, but I said this in the pregame show. I think that Michigan State game did wonders for Penn State, because I think that's where they finally, and granted it's Michigan State, so it's a relative term, relative team, but I think that they finally found footing under Terry Smith. They finally got him a win, and they started playing a little more organized and looking like like Penn State was supposed to look this season, not national championship caliber, but just a team that's better in all phases of the game than their opponents.
I actually think the Indiana game did a lot for him too, Bill. That kind of proof of concept. Okay, we are better than what our record indicates.
Yes.
We could have and should have won this game.
Totally agree with that. And they took that Indiana to Michigan State, believing in what they were doing, rallying around Smith, and they just carried that momentum into Nebraska. I mean, that's Nebraska ran into a team that finally found its identity after a dismal, awful season. They're gonna go to a bowl game with nobody because most of their team will be gone or they'll opt out. But yeah, I think that they benefited by not having a bye week, right? They got some momentum into who they are. Nebraska should have been better after a bye week, and it didn't happen that way.
I am unclear on Rule's record, Brian, after a bye week. Enlighten us. I'm not sure it's great. But still, where are we at here on the clock?
We're going to need to take a break here soon. Yeah. But one thing, stat I do have pulled that I would like to get your guys' thoughts. I mean, we can let this sit on the break and get back into it. Yep. Under Matt Rule, Nebraska is now 2-9 in the month of November. In the past 10 seasons, they are now 11-30 in the month of November.
Well, I've been saying for years the football season is far too long.
You want it shortened, do you?
Yeah, like state high school, Nebraska State High School play. I mean, February was done mid-October. The playoffs go on a little long with the championship games this week, but let's just end college football Halloween. Then we don't have to worry about Matt Rule in November.
You also want to go back to the Big 12, Bill? You want to hit that?
How about the Big 8?
You might match up better. It's been a long 15 years in the Big Ten. A quick timeout. More comments from you. 489-1240 to get in. 800-825-5865. More of your comments in the stream. Like and follow on YouTube, The Average Joe Sports Show, Real Red Reaction. Subscribe there. Can find us on Facebook and Twitter with The Average Joe Twitter handle, AJ Sports Radio, KFOR Radio, KFOR Facebook, KFORnow.com to stream. As always, a quick timeout. More thoughts and more reaction here with Real Red Reaction powered by Slim Chickens. 3 locations for you. 14th and Pine Lake, 84th Old Cheney, soon to be 84th and Adams. Timeout, back with more after this.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
Macy's just dropped tons of new Black Friday deals. And with more being added every week, you can save on everything you need for the holidays. Like festive dinnerware for 60% off, women's designer looks for 30 to 50% off, and men's suits, blazers, and more for 50 to 70% off. So come into Macy's, beat the rush, and get your holiday shopping done early. Black Friday starts here at Macy's. Savings off select styles. Exclusions apply.
Approximately 40 minutes.
Texas was feeling unwelcome. Now Texas is an open door, literally, to new TurboTax stores. Meet our experts in person.
Hi, welcome in.
They're powered by Smart Tech and ready to do your taxes for you. Get real-time updates while you go about your day. Confident your taxes are done right. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. NYC opening soon. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app.
Hi, this is Michaela Kumke from the Food Bank of Lincoln. Right here in southeast Nebraska, 1 in 7 people face hunger. As you shop today, please consider grabbing an extra item or two to donate to the Food Bank of Lincoln. Our donation barrels are located near the front entrance of the store, or you can make your donation go even further with a cash gift. Look for our checkout hunger coupons at check stands to add a donation to your purchase. When you give meals, you gift joy. Thank you, and best wishes for the season.
Here's the tale of the daily med fill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Jab Good RX, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. Deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang, that one little laugh does all.
Anything goes. Anything can be said. The Real Red Reaction Show is live now on KFOR.
Back with you here, Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Justice Rhody, Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman. We are on air till just before 11 p.m. And then a few stragglers want to check in. We'll maybe go after dark for little bit more, but
we can get the real thoughts in.
Well, we have real thoughts now, but it's a little more unfiltered.
The uncensored thoughts.
Yeah, if we want to live dangerously, we could always lob a phone call to the spin dog. get him what kind of mood he's in after this. But
that would be pretty funny.
Here's the reality. One of the things that we talked about, aside from TJ and the run defense and the opportunity against a team, and Dana knew it. He said, look, got to play up. Penn State's uber talented. Nebraska needs better talent. Nebraska right now, and this has been a talking point going in. Where's Nebraska at? What part of the tier system do they belong in the Big Ten? And you had some close calls against teams that have had rough seasons this year. Your best win right now is against Northwestern, who found a way against Minnesota. And Cincinnati, of course, out of conference. The thing that is still painfully obvious is you're a ways away, talent level and scheme, one way or the other. You need both of them to mesh against the SCs, against the Michigans, and against Penn State, be it now 5-6 Penn State. So that needs to ramp up Coaching needs to ramp up. And listen, if this thing's 28-24, it's a whole different tone. It's they fought, they competed, they were over their skis and competed against this squad that's talented, record be damned, and it sits different with you. You flip it differently, and it's 37-10. It's a drilling, and you didn't look like you belonged on the same field with them for what they did to you running the football. And that's been an ongoing thing that has not been and can't be fixed. And you had a chance to go kind of make a statement and set the tone a little bit with one of these higher tier teams. Penn State, they're not going to end this way, but they were supposed to be with Indiana, with Michigan, with Ohio State, with Oregon, in that realm. All right. And you still look miles and miles away. Are you going to, and it comes down to the question, you are what you are right now. And Nebraska is a team that, thanks to their home crowd and their home venue, they're, less than a touchdown or right of the field goal away at home with a raucous environment against some of the big dogs. But on the road, or even against a team like a Minnesota that's going to finish 7-5. Wisconsin's thriving a bit here. Thank you, Kevin. Yes, I know. Stacy said they called and did their best, but you just kind of continue to reinforce where you are. And you're a little bit better than the Maryland and Michigan States of the world and Northwesterns of the world, but still can't beat Minnesota. And Iowa's got something for you on Friday.
I think tonight was the measuring stick of the program. I think Cincinnati's the biggest win of the year. I know you said Northwestern. Cincinnati was the best.
Those are your two good wins this year.
That's the best. Yeah, Cincinnati's the best. That's the first game of the season. The Akron and Houston Christian games, I think I said way back then, fool's gold. Those don't count. Those are Samford, Mercer, and whoever else the SEC played this weekend. The Michigan game was fool's gold. You got the Hail Mary at the end of the first half, and I know that the score is what the score was, but what Nebraska lose that game by 3, or what was it? I don't remember the final, but it was a bigger margin of victory than what the final score indicated. That's a cliche, but it was. Nebraska
should
got the
10.
It should have been 10 or more, probably, right? USC, probably about right. But this one with Penn State, as I've mentioned it, their talent level and the number of players they have on the roster, Nebraska, where Nebraska's talent, all of that, to me is an apples and apples game. They're 37-10 better than Nebraska. That's a gap. If they're not 28-24, if they come to Lincoln and play next week, Nebraska's not going to win 28-24. Penn State's better. They're just better. And yeah, they got an interim coach, but they've come together. They played for him. I don't think he's going to get the job. I think if they give him the job, as great of a story as that is, I think you're looking at Bill Stewart to West Virginia 20 or 30 years ago, whenever that was, the feel-good deal. But tonight is the measuring stick. Penn State is 3 scores better than Nebraska, and if they play in Lincoln, they're probably 2 scores better than Nebraska. This was apples and apples tonight. And by the way, would you rather be Nebraska in year 3 under Matt Rule or
Colorado in year 3?
Deion Sanders year 3 in Colorado? I will say this. If for those people who may not be Matt Rule fans or whatever, he at least broke Colorado, because with the win over Nebraska in year 1, and they put that program and Deion Sanders on such a pedestal that you never thought that college football would be the same again. The crash cannot be more glorious if you dislike Deion Sanders in Colorado football.
You know who just put up 42 on the Buffs?
Old Jeff Sims.
Old Jeff Sims threw for 200 yards on 11 completions. 11 of 24, but they ran for 355 because guess what?
Hey, Matt Rule was right. He has an NFL body. I mean, that's an NFL Sunday guy.
They had Relic Brown run for 255 yards.
How many interceptions did old Jeff throw?
He just threw one, but I do believe he had Jeff Sims lost 2 fumbles, so he was good.
How many apples did he turn over?
That is the full Jeff Sims experience.
So we're talking six turnovers, 6 total turnovers against Colorado and Iowa State, and 2-0 on the road.
Can we get the real over under how many basketball moves did Jeff Sims try on the football field? Did he try that swing step he did against Maryland where he tried to Kyrie rip a guy and lost the football? Can we get a number on that? We're going to have to watch the tape.
He had one absolutely perplexing. I think it was the interception pick 6.
But he's an all off the bus guy, an NFL body.
I don't hate on Deion Sanders, and I just think it is glorious that Nebraska, their win over Nebraska 2 or 3 years ago, set them on such a high that they had revolutionized and changed the game of college football forever. You know, the fawning over Colorado football with both game day and big noon kickoff being there on the same day, ridiculous. Them being on every possible major channel, and then, you know, Mark Jones being the official voice of Colorado football. The fall is just glorious.
You know the game performance for Nebraska was bad today when we're at the point of the post-game show where we're saying, well, at least we're not Colorado.
Well, we're not, damn it.
The bar is on the freaking floor for that one.
The bar's under the floor. We're having to dig into the foundation.
That's a low bar right there. Well, at least we're not Colorado.
Well, and this is from Phil off the top rope. They went toe-to-toe with Deion and won.
That's wrong.
Wow.
That's wrong. I think Bill just got it.
They had a numbers advantage. They put 10 on the line of scrimmage. They only had 7 in the box.
That's terrible.
How do we come back?
That's very Gutfeldian, if I might add.
Let's talk TJ Lateef here. Let's talk quarterback. Let's talk what we liked. Let's talk his help. And let's talk about where Nebraska needs to prioritize. And Nebraska has, and it's to get some big time dudes, you need that 5-star talent. They got Dylan with that year 1 a rule, year 2 a rule, forgive me. But what Nebraska needs to do is really drill down, prioritize, and be dominant soon and good sooner on the lines of scrimmage. You got to really take a hard look at your roster. Who are guys that are backups? Who are guys that are starters? Who are guys that are difference makers? And you don't have enough of them right now. And your talent level needs to upgrade significantly by kickoff next year. And they have got to go shopping. They've got to go shopping, or they got to have guys ready to step in. And there's that gray area of who you've been developing from part-time player to starter reps. And the guys that have been playing the starter reps this year that have been in the program a while, Van Poppel and Lenhart specifically, are guys that belong on the team, and there's talent, but there's not difference making. There's no guy on defense right now that just you got to worry about that sets up his other 3 or 4 mates on the line of scrimmage. There's nobody at the second level at linebacker right now that can cover for a couple of other guys, or as a unit, they're dynamic. Your back end's fantastic. I mean, I like your corners specifically, but Nebraska to move forward here, back to this tier talk, they have got to get with it in identifying, and they've got to accelerate their development. That's easier said than done, but it's got to happen next year, or you're looking at 8-4. Based on the schedule right now, you'd buy right now. But to get even there, I think, is a major jump here when it comes to shopping season here very shortly when the portal opens in January.
I do have eligibility left, Kevin. Thank you very much for asking, and I'll be talking with folks shortly. Bottom line for Nebraska, if you're going to get better, is your portal shopping better be in the Husky aisle. You know, you go for you got to go for the kids that are 3 bills on both sides.
Can move, can play, or angry, but not angry in the incarceration classification.
Get them. Well, okay. Get them every burrito deal in town you can find. All the jerky they can put in their pockets. And to me, look, Nebraska, all through, you know, the great years, known for offensive lines in the pipeline, which peaked in the 90s. But even if you go back to, you know, the 80s and some of those other years, Nebraska had like Big 8, like Jerry Godowski was Big 8 Offensive Player of the Year, followed by Keith McCant was an Offensive Player of the Year in the Big 8 Conference, in part because they had offensive lines that could just road great people. And yeah, it was Ken Clark a great running back? Yeah, probably.
Pretty damn good.
But offensive lines made a difference and made good to really good great. And if Nebraska can get back to, you know, finding just five dudes on both sides of the line, whether you're not going to play a 5-man front on the defensive side, but 5 offensive linemen that are going to move and protect. And, you know, that's going to be the biggest difference in the world for Nebraska. I don't put it on TJ Lateef to be the difference maker. He is a difference maker, but doesn't have to be the difference maker.
Needs help.
But they have got the help has to be on the offensive and defensive lines. And that's where the investment has to be made. You know, with whatever the budget is going to be, I know that, you know, Matt Rule said, I've got the money. Well, you know what? Next year, the money's going to need to be more. It's not, okay, you got to have a $40 million roster to be competitive and compete for championships in this era of college football. That's today. Tomorrow it's going to be 45 to 50 if it's not already. And then it's going to be 60 to 65 and 70. The roster is not going to be a stagnant. I've got my 40 million and that's all we need to play with from now on. It's just going to continue to escalate. So the money has got to be invested in line play. 5-star quarterbacks, great. They bring a lot of attention and maybe they appear recruit. But if you don't have a line that is going to move people so that your point of attack is 4 yards downfield, or you have a defensive line to make sure that you plug up the middle at the line of scrimmage, it's not going to make a difference who the skill position players are. It's not going to make a difference who the head coach is if he doesn't have big guys up front to move the ball around.
That's where they've invested. They've invested in the skill guys. You know, they got Pritchett, and I know they got Rocco, and I know they got Winery. I know they got Gabe Moore, but they have gone for the skill in collection. They have a collection of skill guys that are talented and competitive, but you don't have the meat and potatoes right now, and that is the name of the game and what wins you ball games in this league. And you've been dominated too many times.
Is it Nebraska choosing to get skill position guys, or is it the offensive linemen and defensive linemen thereafter going elsewhere to go win football games?
Well,
you were in front of Isaiah World this year. He picked Oregon because he wanted to go win football games, compete for a national title.
You're still in that purgatory right now of, all right, what have you proven? What have you shown? Yeah, you can pay me, but what's the outlook like?
Well, and we talked about it last Sunday. We talked about it last Sunday, the importance of going out and getting, if not 2 wins, at least 1 win in the final 2 games of the season. From an optics point of view, the national narrative around Nebraska, they're 8-4, they're 9-3, they have momentum into the offseason. What does 7-5 feel like if you get blown out against Penn State and Iowa does what Iowa does and they go and beat you by a touchdown and run for 300 yards on you? What does that feel like going into the transfer portal window? What is the optics for those players around the country that are looking for their next stop, that they want to go compete, they want to go win, they want to make it off to the NFL? Is Nebraska the spot for them? if you go 0-2 to finish the season with a bad loss against Penn State and a loss at home against Iowa, I don't think so.
It turns into a reach, and you got to sell somebody and talk them into it versus them wanting to be here.
Hey,
What you got?
Talk. Matt Rule can talk.
Well, it turns into finding a guy who only cares about the dollars and cents and doesn't care about winning.
And they got to be talked into the winning part or the chemistry part. I mean, it's problematic. We'll get to some Latif. How are we, Justice? Do we need to say thank you, good night on the radio?
We're at about a minute 20 here.
All right. Still can get in on Real Red Reaction, 489-1240, as we'll continue on. 800-825-5865, Slim Chickens, Powers, Real Red Reaction. Reminder, tomorrow we're not done with the Average Joes. Sunday live at 10:30-ish. As Sam Hoiberg will help tip off the show tomorrow before we dive back into some football thoughts. But, it's something that is very real right now with Nebraska, and that is their lines of scrimmage play. You have more lean into the run game with Emmett. He's gone or back. Who knows? You got a 50-50 shot, but it sure feels like he needs to go play on Sundays here after Iowa and the bowl game. We'll talk some TJ Latif and some of his upside. Loved his scramble for the touchdown. Loved some of those 3rd and long plays on the move where he made some nice throws, kind of airmailed some, but that's totally fixable. But appreciate you tuning in on KFOR, KFORnow.com, and KFOR Lincoln. We'll be back at you on Monday with the Average Joes. And we continue here after dark.
What was
stream
that,
only.
What was that, Schmidt? We missed half of that.
As we continue on, we go to the after dark version of the Real Red Reaction. Captain says this loss is meaningless, and says Penn State had everything to play for. I think they kind of got talked into playing for it after 4th and 1. But let's talk TJ Latif for a moment. What'd you like, fellas? Bill, start with you. Justice, you follow.
I don't think he was overwhelmed by the moment or the atmosphere of the being in that arena, playing in an iconic stadium for the 2nd consecutive week. And I said that in the pregame show. I think the nerves will be there more so on Friday, playing at home for the first time. So I didn't think he played like he wasn't up to the moment. So I think that speaks well for his preparedness, his character. So I thought that was positive. He didn't look like we just got to hand the ball off and get out of here. He's athletic. He needs some seasoning. He's not going to make plays like Iamaleava does for UCLA just yet, but I think he can be that
Shamalama ding dong.
I think he can be that elusive of a runner at some point, but not against that team. But against relative competition, he can. The touchdown he scored, it's a pretty athletic move. I'm not sure everybody's making that in that quarterback room. So I think
that's so good.
I think he's a nice player who's going to get better.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a ton of upside with him.
I don't think he was out of his element playing today. He looked like he did look like a freshman, but not an overwhelmed freshman.
Well, I mean, it's complimentary football, dude. You get some stops on defense. You're not Swiss cheese stopping the run. You're not buried. 10-3 that turns into 17-3 that turns into 23-3 that turns into 30-3. I mean, and I know that there were some punts and some. I mean, did he go 3 and out tonight? I don't think he went 3 and out. Has he gone 3 and out?
There was a 3 and out in there, wasn't there?
I thought there was.
That final possession before the end of the first half was a 3 and out, was it not?
Okay.
I don't know. No.
I could be wrong on that, but I mean, we could talk about
because remember I think he ran for a first down and didn't slide 2 yards shy.
Let me check here.
I think
catcher was blocking the plate, Bill.
There was a 3-and-out 406. With 4 minutes left in the first half, 3-and-out. You went -7 yards after the Mekhi Nelson return out of the end zone that only got you to the 10.
Right.
Because you almost had that penalty in the end zone.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible penalty.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Terrible call. Uncle Andy was over tonight, and he was ready to go pinata on the Big Ten officiating. I thought the Dane Key false start was garbage.
He never came set.
He never got set.
It looked like he, for a half a count, was still. But
I'm not here to blame the refs.
No, absolutely.
And we could talk about TJ Lateef and his performance. I don't think it mattered who was playing quarterback for Nebraska tonight.
It didn't.
Penn State ran for 200+ yards and he put up 37 points. We don't have to look further than the run defense in this football game. We circled it. Well, and what's John Butler going to have up his sleeve? Nothing. There was nothing up John Butler's sleeve tonight.
He didn't wear sleeves.
There you go. There's your answer.
Maybe they ought to stop cutting the sleeves off and keeping that extra ace, or
should they just cut the cords on the sleep pods and leave them somewhere over West Virginia too, Bill?
But guys, is it low-hanging fruit for us to be talking about the run defense after a performance like that?
No, it's low-hanging fruit to expect the run defense to be worth a damn in 2025. I mean, it's just same thing. Absolute the same thing. And I don't understand how you can be this poor at stopping the run. Throw more bodies at it. And maybe they still gash you with a bare front. But God almighty, you can't let them win or beat you or control the game doing what they want to do. Go Bill Belichick. Take away the team's best player. Take away the thing, or at least try and slow it down or stymie it.
Go Sean Payton, bounty system.
Are you suggesting that Nebraska needs to cheat?
I was kidding. Good Lord. Go Broncos.
It was Dennis Allen.
Oh, Sean Payton knew what was going on. I'm a Broncos fan, and we all know Sean Payton knew what was
Greg
going
Williams.
On. Hey, he's a great football coach, but that dude's an a-hole.
Yeah, Greg Williams.
Greg Williams.
Yeah. No, that's just the mind-boggling part. Like with USC, you had Maeva, could throw it, could move. You didn't have the mobile quarterback problem tonight. Okay, which was the finger pointing that was thrown out there earlier this week with the presser. Sorsby could run. Childs could run. Nico could run. Where else am I going?
Underwood could run.
Underwood could run. Thank you. This guy just handed off the two really good backs. You knew it was coming. You couldn't stop it. And maybe a fifth down lineman wouldn't have mattered. Maybe a 4-4 look wouldn't have mattered. Maybe a 6-4 wouldn't have mattered. But you didn't try it.
And I know that someone earlier said, felt like Bo Pelini against Wisconsin. That felt like every game of the Mike Riley era. Penn State could do what they want. If you can run
Ward's out,
with your running backs, you can do whatever you want offensively. There was guys running free because Nebraska's expecting the run, because why would you throw the football? They're getting 7 yards a pop, and then they pull out the pass, and here's a wide open guy there's no one within 10 yards of him. Make it really easy on Grunkmeyer. Like that was a shambolic defensive performance all around, but it started with the inability to stop the run. And Frank nails it here. 3-3-5 with no nose tackle. That's where your issues start. You don't have defensive ends that are big enough, fast enough, or strong enough. They always get blown off the ball. You have a guy in Winery who, hey, he's got tons of talent as a pass rusher. He's got the type of body that NFL coaches drool over, but right now he is not great against the run. You have McCullough, not great against the run. Like, you just look at that defensive line. It's a whole bunch of guys that get blown off of the football, play with poor technique. Some guys are standing straight up. Some guys are getting blown back on double teams. It is just all the way down the line of scrimmage, guys playing poorly against the run. And for the different guys, it's different reasons why they're playing poorly against the run, but there's not a single guy I can circle on the defensive line or in that front seven early this year. I can say, you know what? they've been good against the run. Everyone else has been bad, but they've been good. I can't circle a guy for you.
And I kind of want to go back to this point because I've been nurturing this for a while. Vince chimes in and says it all starts in the weight room, lean, not mean. I do want to ask some questions about the strength and conditioning. It's either these guys are big and cannot move, or they're small and they're lean, but they can't wrap anybody up. Like, there is no in between. And this is about Nebraska's like strength and conditioning staff as a whole. Like, if you know that you're going to have a young defensive line, is there not some sort of process that you could speed this up to and at least try to alleviate and give them some play strength? Because you'll see, like, Aaron Donald was an undersized defensive tackle. I know, one of the best players in football history, but he was undersized. Like, that was a guy that at Pitt used leverage, had ways to win with play strength, right?
He had other help too.
Yeah. And those are guys that have bursting strength. Like, this team just has like a lot of brute strength, but a lot of it doesn't apply to football related strength. It just feels like they're just kind of big and it's an all off the bus team, but they're not ready to go compete physically. Penn State had a bunch of guys that when they hit you, boom, you were flying 2 to 3 yards back. And those are guys who spent a while in the program, but also they had some younger guys, like some of their linebackers that were coming out that were, sophomores that are just flying around and just cracking you. And anytime they hit Emma Johnson, bam, he was going down. So I got to wonder, do we need to have a talk about the strength and conditioning staff? Because they're not developing play strength for any of these guys. I mean, they just look relatively weak compared to the rest of the conference, even against the Michigan State and the Marylands of the world.
I need to go back and rewatch, but there's been some games this year where, on top of the fact that I think the opposing offensive line is stronger than you, guys are playing with poor pad level. And I need to go back and rewatch tonight's game. It's hard for me to see that in the moment whenever, Katron Allen's running free for 40 yards. You're wondering, is someone going to make the tackle? I need to go check pad level on this game because that's been a problem at times this year. There was a few plays I circled with some guys in the defensive line where I went, that pad level is atrocious. I need to go see it as a whole. That'll be part of my rewatch before we go live tomorrow morning with one Sam Hoiberg. But I need to look back at pad level because that comes down to coaching.
Yeah, I agree. There's some technique to it, but they also just look lethargic at points. And I'm like,
where their hands at? And Saber X nails it. And we're going to talk to Uncle Charlie Monday about this. The hand part of this thing. Every offensive line that's run for 2 Bills this season has gotten their hands on Nebraska's defensive line, turned them, moved them, tackled them. I mean, done whatever they wanted, moved them, slammed them, pushed them out of the way. I mean, how many times did Nebraska was getting their ass pancaked tonight? Routinely. Poor Judy, good dude, but I mean, he is washed out of that middle a lot. And you look at the film, it's happening to him and his mates on the line. And then they go to the edge. Then they hit the edge with that damn counter play. And the edge is cracked down on. As big as Winery is, he gets pinned. All right. And
he's got pad level issues at times. That's one of the guys.
Sure. He gets pinned, he gets moved, and then you got, all right, here's the reinforcements. Here comes the secondary and the linebackers. They're walled off. There's a body type and size difference. Well, and Jimmy nails it here too. I mean, that's the other thing. What you're practicing against really does prepare you or not for who you see on Saturdays. And guys like Rocco and Evans and Pritchett are good. I will say on the line. Those are the 3 candidates I have for the NFL for them. And anyway, but Nebraska's just, what's the prep like? What's the situation look like? Is Monday through Thursday the hardest part to make Saturdays the easiest part? And you're going to get outmanned and outgunned clearly with some of the talent you're going up against. We've already laid that out on this show that Nebraska's deficient in some talent and the amount of talent, but it's a mess right now. And in year 3, this deep into the season, it's got to be circled and addressed pronto.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to get addressed. Like, it's effort. It's a lot of different things. And I mean, they talked about it like Dylan Raiola and, Rocco Spindler saying this is a Joe Moore Award offensive line. Guys, this is a Joe Pesci Award offensive line. It's a comedy. It's a comedy watching these guys at points.
It's Joe Pesci because they're getting whacked every single game.
The Joe Pesci Award. Everybody line up and take a swing. It's just at some point, guys got to buckle down and be men. And they're just not doing it. And they're just getting outworked and they're getting out muscled with bad technique and they get fatigued. And then you go back to your habits and their habits are sloppy. So at some point, like if you're going to fall back on your basic survival instincts, your basic habits, your basic teachings and principles, their basic teachings and principles really must stink because they are falling back on some awful habits, getting high in the pads, just standing up off the line of scrimmage. We're having to get low and firing off the ball. It's just bad practice habits that are manifesting in game with fatigue.
And Schmidt, he talked about the counterplay that you saw Penn State run a lot tonight. You don't have a guy on the end of the line of scrimmage that can take on a pulling guard and close that hole down. And that's technique. That's not seeing it coming. You got to get low. You got to drive that guy back. You got to close down the hole, make it easier for your linebacker, give less of a hole for the tackle to pull up through on or tight end, whoever is pulling around on that counterplay. You don't have guys that can do that. They get just killed down the line of scrimmage. You could drive a Mack truck through that hole, and now it's just a tight end or tackle one-on-one with a linebacker, and there's Katron Allen running free for 50 yards.
Fellas, 5-minute warning as we wind it down. Don't forget, Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens, 14th and Pine Lake, 84th and Old Shady. And make sure you check out the soon-to-be-open location, 84th and Adams. Get some wings. Eat your feelings tonight. How about 10 dessert orders to match Nebraska's point total tonight? Average Joe's Sunday Live, 10:30 tomorrow. Be there.
Are there any sponsors out there that, if there are any sponsors out there that offer blindfolds and cigarettes at bulk prices before Iowa comes to town, let us know. We will get it pumped on the Average Joe Sports Show. Give us an email, the ajsportshow@gmail.com. Blindfolds and cigarettes may be needed.
Sounds like something Wile E. Coyote would get from Acme.
Well, the good news is
one of these days.
The good news is with Black Friday, we'll be at the Single Barrel for the pregame. We'll be at the Bar for the last Real Red Reaction regular season. The Bar 16th and P with Seth and Greg. Probably a Spindler sighting. Lots of Slinkies. Doleman will have a pitcher of Slinkies like 2 years ago as that biscuits and gravy led the game-winning drive. Maybe it'll be a different outcome. I don't know. But some final thoughts, fellas. We always wrap up Real Red Reaction with a word to describe tonight. And, I've been thinking long and hard here about the word I want to use tonight. But I guess the best word I have is dominant. And that was Penn State. Dominant on the lines of scrimmage, dominant on the offensive line, dominant on the defensive side of the football. Bullying's the second word I would choose. They just did whatever they wanted, man. Physical, but dominant, the word for me. Who else wants to jump in? Ryan says sad. That's fair.
Oh, I mean, I got one if you guys don't have one. Go for it. It's shambolic. I mean, that was just from start to finish, just an utterly embarrassing and shambolic performance. They had no structure. They had no system in place. A couple of guys looked like they wanted to be there. The rest of them looked like they would rather be in the sleep pods in the Tom Osborne Memorial Complex. So I will go with shambolic, and let's just hope that is a burn the tape game and that they just burn the tape and throw the records out and just play their hats off against Iowa.
Can we go to what MTD said? Where'd it go? We need that lady to call back and tell everyone how wrong she was and how bad our guys played tonight.
Listen, that's someone's grandma or sweet aunt. I wanted to lose my mind, but I need to be respectful.
I thought she was delightful.
I know.
I'm glad
but but here's the thing, she stumbles upon our show after the worst game of the season once a year. And loses her bleep on us. You damn bastards. How can you talk that badly against these poor children?
I know some of these guys, they work so hard.
And they do.
They do work hard.
They do work hard. I know.
It's not personal. It isn't personal. It ain't personal on our end. Our job's to report and react.
They're getting paid
do.
more than I am. Of course, I'm going to criticize them.
That's an issue too. And I know we're doing our one word thing, but look, it's a business now, and there's a lot of people investing a lot of money, not just in tickets and in travel and in NIL and in meds that can correct that. But this isn't that. Well, they're just college kids. Some of them can still have that banner that they're here for, the good old dear old Nebraska U or whatever college they're playing, but they're not all making a ton of money, but they're making some money now, and that money's coming out of fans' pockets, donors'
funding
pockets,
it.
whatever. People are and some are making a lot more money than their coaches are making, and administrators,
Generation
all
change.
that. Yeah. Look,
listen, if you decide to come to a place like Nebraska to kind of like underscore your point, Bill, this is the world you live in. Nebraska pays you handsomely. Nebraska expects a lot out of you. If you want to go to a place where you're not going to be criticized after a bad game, you can go off to South Dakota State or Northern Iowa or a school like that. And hey, you won't be making money in NIL, but we won't be talking poorly about you on a post-game show. It's the reality of coming to a place like Nebraska. These guys grew up dreaming of coming to a place like Nebraska and paying off. Hey, their retirement fund is looking great. They're paying off cars and houses for parents with the money that they're making. It's the world that they are in. And if you want to be prepared for the NFL, it gets jacked up to 100 with that post-game criticism after guys play poorly in the NFL. Once you're getting paid handsomely for your efforts, to whom much is paid, much is expected. And the expectations are high at a place like Nebraska. It's as simple as that.
Well,
Ed Foley says the word of the night is credit to them.
Hanging in the locker room. Credit to them, Matt Rule.
It's not a word, but it's a phrase. My word is phrase. We should have seen this coming. That's the best thing I can say.
Predictable?
Predictable.
Yes.
We talked about the, oh man, they got to find a way schematically to go stop the run. Why are we saying that? We've watched 10 games. Schematically, they've been able to stop a damn nosebleed all year long. We should have seen this one coming. Oh, hold them below 175. If they could have done that, awesome. But it was predictable that they could not, and that Penn State went and did what they did. And I think the fans deserve better from us. We give analysis. We're paid not as much as the players, but we also deserve a little bit of the blame here because we should have prepared the fans for this moment. We should have known Penn State can run the damn ball. Nebraska can't stop a freaking nosebleed. It's going to be a bloodbath. We should have known.
Hand up
Bloodbath's a good
next
word.
time.
That's 2 words.
Well, I did say Vegas knows something. Measurement.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking limp.
You're not full mass, Bill?
I think this is like I said earlier, Minnesota was not a measuring stick with Nebraska, and as poorly as Nebraska played with its effort in losing that game, that was just a poor effort. I feel like Nebraska beats Minnesota 7 times out of 10. And they didn't on that day because the effort was atrocious. One of the most embarrassing performances I've seen in my time watching Nebraska football. The Michigan game, not a measuring stick. That game was farther apart than what the final score was. But I think tonight, Penn State's found its footing. Nebraska should have. Apples to apples, the measurement, Nebraska is 37-10 less than Penn State. So I think we have an idea where the program is at. And I think this program is going to look a lot different personnel-wise because the rules allow for it. I think this Nebraska football team is going to look a lot different in January than it looks right now. I think there will be some surprise transfers of players who are saying, I'm not bought in anymore, and I want to go get paid someplace else. Elijah, you said guys dreamed of playing here at Nebraska. Yeah, some of them didn't. They dreamed it when the money came. I'll go there because that's where the bank is. They're not as bought into the program as they're being paid to be at the program, and that's a problem for college football all around and basketball especially. But I think Nebraska football right now knows where it is in comparison to Penn State, and that's why this roster will be significantly different based on tonight than it was than we think it's going to be.
Let me ask you the question, guys, before we get out. I know Schmidt said 5-minute warning 10 minutes ago.
I'm whatever. It's good.
Whenever we wake up tomorrow, predict the line for Nebraska, Iowa.
It's got to be 3.5 Hawkeyes.
I think that's low. I think you might get a 6.5 point line.
Maybe 5.5 Iowa.
I was
I think we're all in the same neighborhood. I think it's probably 4.5.
Nebraska finds a way to be within one score.
What did Vegas know this week? Penn State runs the hell of the ball. Nebraska can't stop it. What do we know with Iowa?
They run the ball.
They run the hell out of the ball with their quarterback and their running backs, and Nebraska won't be able to stop it.
Nebraska is a better team against teams that are better than them, though, in Lincoln. Scores are closer than they should be.
I think Latif has a great game. And I know Iowa's got great special teams. I think Nebraska's special teams next week will make a difference. I think Iowa's going to be favored, but I didn't feel good about tonight at all.
I was way off. I thought they'd play well, and I thought they'd play free, and I thought they'd translate. I know UCLA's a tire fire, but I thought they'd have some fluidity on offense and be able to move the football despite Penn State's. I thought the offense would be able to do more. I didn't think the defense would be as bad. I thought the defense would have problems, but I think they would. I thought they would make a play or two, like they have a lot of times, to get a couple of stops here and there to make it a tighter ball game. And it was Chris Brown counter left, counter right. I mean, that's what it was like watching, just running down your throat and just getting mauled.
Yeah. Bad night. Congratulations to the Nebraska women's volleyball.
And Nebraska was Rihanna.
Nebraska volleyball team.
The running back for Colorado.
Yeah.
Not that.
Not that Chris Brown. Not Breezy.
No, but they did the same. They did the same thing. So.
But yeah, congratulations to Nebraska volleyball for winning another Big Ten championship.
Yeah. If the Big Ten is the best volleyball conference in the country, which I think it is, to win the title outright 2 weeks before the season comes to an end is a stunning achievement, right? It usually goes down to the last weekend. They've got the title wrapped up outright 2 weeks before it's over with, I think. That's amazing.
Rest your starters.
They do that already.
We got to get ready for Prairie View A&M, Schmidt. You got to get them tuned up. First round of the NCAA tournament.
Someday we're going to get that Clyde from Lincoln phone call, you know.
Can't wait for it.
Tyler from Spartanburg.
Mm-hmm.
One fall time. Hey, tomorrow, 10:30, Sam Hoiberg. We'll talk the good men's team currently playing with Nebraska right now. That's Husker basketball.
Yeah, and find and follow Average Joe Sports Show YouTube, Real Red Reaction YouTube, KFOR Twitter at KFOR Radio, KFOR Facebook, and the Average Joe Twitter handles AJ Sports Radio, AJ Sports Pod. Elijah Herbel, Justice Rhody, the Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman. Find all of them on Twitter at Justice Rhody, on Twitter at Herbal Essence, on Twitter at Bill Doleman, Chris Schmidt at Schmidt_radio. Back tomorrow, 10:30, YouTube, with the Average Joe Sunday Live, and good old Sammy Hoiberg getting us tipped off. Appreciate all of you in the stream. Appreciate all of you calling on Real Red Reaction. And we'll talk to you manana here with the Average Joes and KFOR.